X rank sucks. And I don't mean it metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically or any other fancy way. X rank sucks straight up. X was introduced in 2018 to be the next rank after S+ in Splatoon 2. This rank was meant to test the best players to see who could reach and maintain their position. Anyone under 1800 power would be booted back to S+9, while 3000 was typically the highest power anyone would have. But even then, that power was only ever achieved by a small handful of people. Since Splatoon 2 also separated ranks for each mode, you had to reach X individually, and placement would happen after 10 matches. After that, you would gain and lose points for each match based on how well you played. I reached X in every mode by the end of the game, and had a peak power of about 2400 in each mode. Keep this in mind, it's important later. Now, I knew people weren't a fan of X and 2, but I personally never looked into it because I never had huge issues with it. When jumping into Splatoon 3 though, X rank was unavailable at launch and only came into the picture 3 months later via the chill season. I played X a few times, thought it was dog shit, and didn't touch it the rest of the season, but more and more I saw complaints on Twitter about how dog shit the mode was now, so I made it my goal to only play the mode during the fresh season to see what was up. Also subscribe because I'm close to 10k subs, please and thanks. So, for one, reaching X went from being a difficult challenge only people dedicated to the game would want to acquire to a mode anyone can get. See, you had to reach S+10 in Splatoon 2 to unlock X, but in Splatoon 3, you only have to reach S+0. This change stripped away what made X special, a mode for more competitive players who want to test their skills against the best of the best. In Splatoon 3, it's turned into high and top level players doing well at the beginning, only for them to reach a stalemate in matchmaking because they reach such a high power that the game straight up doesn't match them with anyone else. And for low and mid level comp players, it's fighting to go above 2500 points. However, because players like us can find matches, we get matched with non-competitive players who aren't as experienced with an average power of 1800, which skews matches. Because yeah, you can have that low of a power in this game. In fact, a graph came out about the average power of players in the Takaroka division, and it was 1800. You know, the power that got you kicked out of X rank in 2. Yeah, that's the norm now. And since the Takaroka division is better than the Tenatech division, our average was most likely around 14 to 1600. So there are two takeaways from this. One, the power system scaling is entirely different than 2. The new peak is around 4000 and some players have gotten 1300. That is a vast difference, and I don't think people have quite realized that yet. But 2 is that the matchmaking sucks. Unlike Anarchy, where there's no system for matchmaking, X rank tries to have a system in place to pair weapons of a similar style against each other while also pairing players who are similar in skill. Well, for one, the similar weapons mechanic straight up sucks. It's good when a Tri-Slosher is paired against another Tri-Slosher or a Splash is paired against a Tasabi, but then a Snipe Rider can be paired against an E-Leader, or a Splash can be paired against a Sploosh, or a Roller can be paired against an Undercover Umbrella. That is in no way, shape, or form balanced at all, and a matchup sets the mood for an entire game. If I get an E-Leader on my team while the enemy gets a Squiffer, I feel infinitely more confident in our ability to win than my team getting a Sploosh and the enemy team getting a Splash. But then, the game also doesn't account for what weapon everyone's using when pairing a team together. It can pair 3 backlines, all Slayers, weapons with no synergy. It does not care. This results in terrible matchups being pretty standard, and going back to my comment about the mood of a match, your entire mindset is more important than you may think. One reason top level players are considered top level players is because of 2 main factors that make them stand out from even high level players. And that's their ability to play consistently and have a good mindset each and every match. Yeah, they make mistakes and can have bad moods, but it is far less than low level and even high level players. If you feel confident in your abilities, go into a match, keep your cool, and do your absolute best, you most likely played your best and even pushed yourself to new heights. However, once you start to feel negative emotions, it can and will screw up your performance in a match. Your mind will become more focused on these negative feelings, removing focus from the game and causing your play to crumble. Playing consistently, however, comes with practice because you can't can't just learn how to play more consistently. Of course, someone can help you and tell you methods to do this, but it's not the same for everyone, and again, it comes with consistency more than everything. Unlike the inconsistent matchmaking, this is probably the worst part about X because it applies to almost everything in a match. Weapons, teams, maps, and skill level all rely on matchmaking, and it just sucks. This issue isn't exclusive to X rank, but it is definitely felt the most in X. Especially because now that X is so easy to get into, we have players who are on high-level teams versus players who just got the game for Christmas who have no idea what they're doing and just excited that they unlocked a new mode. And I know I said earlier that high and top level players have difficulty matching, but that's only if they reach a super high power. They can still be matched against lower level comp players like me when they don't have a super high power, which skews the match, ultimately resulting in 30-second knockouts. That never happens in high and top level competitive play, to my knowledge. So why is it happening in the game's most competitive mode? And this thing being the game's most competitive mode, there are way too many mistakes I see people making that should not happen in this mode. No one is perfect, and no match is played perfectly, but you shouldn't be falling off the map, rushing the enemy while your team is dead, or the biggest and easiest mistake I see most, playing passively. I have a short with over 80,000 views covering this exact topic, yet I feel no one has seen it because the biggest mistake I see is if the enemy team puts on more pressure, my team just decides never to push and to stay between base and mid, which is infuriating as hell. I play Slayers, and especially if I decide to use Roller, I can't do jack shit when all my teammates decide to do, instead of pushing the tower and inking map, is that they want to stay back and fight off the one enemy sploosh playing skirmish. Then they see the KD at the end and determine that I threw because I went 8 and 10. Newsflash, KD does not determine how well someone played. Yeah, if someone goes 7 and 21, they threw, but if it's a weapon's job to skirmish and die with QR, then yes, they will have a negative KD most of the time. Sitting back and playing passive and having a 15 to 4 KD but still losing does not mean you carried. Here's the thing with X that is most infuriating though. Yeah, it's Nintendo's fault for designing this mode to have dog shit matchmaking and letting little Timmies go against literal pros, but it's also a player's choice to play the mode, and upon unlocking X, it makes it pretty clear that it's more difficult and much more different than the other modes. So my personal thought is, if you're gonna play the mode, you gotta come and bring in your best. Turf and Anarchy exist. If you want to sit back and play for fun, they're right there, but please stop going into X and just not thinking. Players like me play the mode because we want to get better. I personally want to get my name out there more for competitive, and having a good power will help with that, but I'm stuck in the 18 to 2200s because I never get good teams. Either because the weapons have no synergy, my teammates are just bad, the other team outclasses us overwhelmingly, or some other arbitrary reason. I never get matches where it feels fair. It doesn't even matter if I win. I never think to myself, wow, I felt a real challenge there, or wow, that was really fun. I hope to fight them again sometime. Most of the time, it's just some stupid reason that I never enjoy myself. And yes, of course, I have my bad matches. In fact, one of my biggest drawbacks as a player, and something I have to work on, is consistency. I have games where I'm confident and I have my nerves under control, and other games where I'm completely out of it and just want to give up completely. I am not perfect, and I'm also not blaming my teammates for every loss that I get. But X should not be this mode that anyone can get, and it shouldn't be the mode where these bad plays and simple mistakes are made in almost every match I'm in. I am a low-level competitive player, so X could be a completely different experience for higher-level division players, but from what I've seen on Twitter, that does not seem to be the case. In fact, the best players often complain that they can't even find a match and spend the entire 2-hour rotation waiting for one. So I think the best course of action to fix this issue is to just rework the divisions. I hate that Takaroka players can come over to the Tenatech division and vice versa because they are always laggy and I am not getting better when I fight them. Instead of making the divisions what region you're in, have that be an option and make the divisions the same as how Anarchy power works. There could be a division every 200 power and you have to do a rank up battle to progress in each. Then only players in the division with 2000 to 2200 would be matched against each other, making the matchmaking way more fair. Because while they did make X way easier to get into, They also spread out the power system so that worse players can still play the mode, which is fine if they didn't let these same players join people far out of their skill level. Introducing divisions like what's shown here would better ensure players stick to people similar in skill. It wouldn't be perfect, and I really just wish they'd add skill-based matchmaking, but I don't expect that until Splatoon 5.